Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Back to working on the Whizzer because I don't have anything else to do yet. And I was throwing around some ideas about what I could do for the frame, because I said in the last video the part I was using, it broke, so that sucks. And I don't really want to use that because it's cracked now. So I was throwing around some ideas and I think I found one that works really well. I have one bar here that's fairly level, and then I can put the camera a bit, and I can have it like this. So I have it come straight up, and I'm gonna notch the top so that I can like slot it in, slot it under that. So I can weld it there, and then that'll be one solid piece, and I can weld it at the top there and at the bottom there. And I think that would make it a fairly strong design, potentially. I don't know. It only has to support, really, me, so I'm not that heavy. So I think that is what I'm going to do. Guess I'm going to start by notching this top bit out. So I'll probably just use like a hacksaw or something like that. And yeah. That shouldn't be that hard. Then I have to trim down this piece here. So that shouldn't take long though. It seems fairly simple. Okay, it's like half an hour later and I've gotten the top bit notched out. You can see I got a whole bunch of lines and it's also in place. So I think that looks okay. I'm gonna cut off a little bit of that, right where my finger is. So it'll look slightly different, but I mean, it should work. I don't have a hole cutter or anything, so I had to manually cut this and file out this entire area. So took a little while, but it's all done. So now I think I'm just gonna mark where this is and cut off how much of that I need, and then I should be able to start welding. So be back once that's all cut up. Alright, I got the top bit cut down the size, so this is what it should look like from now on. And I also got everything cleaned up. See, I sanded all of the parts where I'm gonna have to weld. I even sanded a little part in the middle for my ground. And I'm ready to start welding now, so I'm going to start that. I'm going to tack everything in place and hopefully everything goes well. Okay, it's a little while later and I got the welding all done. I think just around here is my best weld. At the bottom it's okay. This side, under this, it's pretty good. So, I trust it. I do trust it. I sat on it a little bit. I flexed the frame and there's no movement. It does hold up straight. It's strong. I can't bend it out if I push it, or like I said, if I twist the frame or something. So I'm happy with that. And now looking at this, I don't know why I never noticed this. It probably would have been stronger to go like straight up. But I also don't want to mess with this bar because it's the last original support. So I don't really want to weld to it and accidentally weaken it like around here so it would snap. So if I notice, hold on, let me zoom you out. If I notice the frame like bowing or like having issues around here, then I will weld just a tiny support to finish off this gap. But for now, it's fine the way it is. 'Cause you don't want the frame to be too stiff because that's half my suspension. So now that that's done, I can move on to the front support. So I'm gonna do, it's probably gonna be something just like that. Zoom you out again because I'm close. Probably gonna cut it around here, just like I did with that. So I'm probably gonna cut it around there so it's flat, weld the pipe coming out, and then probably cut it off somewhere here, just flat, then have another square piece there so I can put the engine. Yeah, yeah, so that shouldn't be hard. It should be the exact same thing as this. And hopefully all goes well. And if needed, I might be able to weld like another support coming in to the top, like just a straight pipe going up. If needed though, I might not. So I'll get to that and hopefully everything will go the same way. It's a little while later, as per usual, and I just got the middle piece cut out. So there's now a void in it. And I have to be a little careful about how much the frame bends, because right now the only thing holding it's that, which is why I didn't want to weld to that. I didn't want to weaken it. So now I have to make a frame for this, which should be same process as that. Got to figure out what I want to do. I don't know if I want to have the pipe coming down all the way and then have the pipe come over and weld it to the side of that, or if I want to have this come out and then have this pipe come down weld to the top of that. Because I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I gotta look a little bit into it. It's gonna be a really tight fit because I measured it. This is where the pulley on the transmission lines up. So it lines up to there. The flywheel, or actually wait, I screwed up a little bit. Yeah, because I moved the bike slightly. There. Because it lines up with like the front of this and the flywheel. There's not going to be a lot of space. Let me see. Get a top-down view. There's not going to be a lot of space from the flywheel and that pipe. So I got to be careful of that. But other than that, it should be around the same procedure as what I did for that. And I think I'm going to think on it for a while and then I'll be back. It is 2 days later. And yesterday I got a little bit of work done before work. I ended up getting the 90-degree pipe I'm going to need to go from here to there. And I also have a pipe just in the middle there to support the weight of the engine and just add as a reinforcement. So like I can step on this, but you can see like the frame kind of moves. So I'm happy I have that support because I don't trust my welds 100%. So I wanted something just to hold the engine. That can already hold the engine just fine. So now I just have to weld that corner. I have to make sure that is 90 degrees though, just so the engine doesn't hit. And I have to clear a little bit of the bottom of this pipe just to allow this to fit in properly. It doesn't go all the way because there's a little bend. And other than that, I think it is just cutting that to size and welding. So I'm going to get into that and hopefully everything goes well and I can get it all together today. Okay, it's a little while later. I got that corner piece welded up. I filed out the underside of this. I don't know if it's focusing or not. Yeah. You can just see where I cut it just so it would mesh in because it had to have a little bend down. The top here, it doesn't look like it fits, but the thing is when you pick up the bike, or is it? Like it changes. I don't know if you can see it that well. But if I pick it up, the gap, like, I don't know if it gets a little smaller or bigger, but I'm going to jack up the bike or at least put it on a block when I'm welding it just so like the front is down a little bit just because I don't want it stretched. So I'll figure out that there. Might have to do a little bit of trimming to that piece first too. But so far this is the first look of what it's gonna look like. Let me grab my chair so I can sit down. So this is what it's gonna look like. It's interesting for sure. But I mean, I have enough space for everything because the engine's gonna sit slightly off center. So let's see if I can do this with one hand. engine's gonna sit somewhere around here. It's not gonna be centered. Oh, there goes everything. Maybe it's not a good idea to do that with one hand. But that's kind of what it's gonna look like. And now I just have to clean off everything and start welding. So I'm probably gonna have to take that bar out again. Oh, that's fine. So I'll be back when it's hopefully all in. Okay, I just finished up the welding. I mean, it looks fairly sturdy. The welds are, they're debatable. Some parts are good, some parts aren't. Because a lot of the time I'm working with like this much space, so I can't see. But I think they'll hold. I'm not concerned with this. I only weld that in place just so it would stay and wouldn't rattle or anything, because that part's already supported. That part seems pretty strong. So I'm gonna hope that that's good enough, and I may decide on putting some reinforcements on this, just because I'm a little anxious that that might snap, because when I put weight on the bike, like, it's gonna try and rip that apart. So I might decide to put brackets on. I'll see how it actually handles any weight. If I notice like the weld start to crack or something, then I will reinforce it, obviously. But for now, I think it's pretty good. At least good enough to fit everything in place. And you can see just how much space I have. Let's see if I get closer. So I don't have a whole lot of space. But it should be enough, because transmission can fit there, the engine can fit there, so everything else I'll just figure out where to put it. So for now, I think that's pretty good. And the next step I want to do in this video is I want to make the engine mounts, or I want to at least make mounts for the transmission or the engine. I have to decide on what I want to do first. I'm thinking the transmission, because I'm kind of working my way back. I want the transmission to be aligned with the wheel. So I'll probably do the transmission first so I can line that up with the wheel, and then the engine can go wherever that lines up with. So I just have to figure out a design and where to put a mount for the transmission. So I'm going to spend a while thinking of that. When I have an idea, I'll be back. It's a few days later, and I think I figured out what I want to do for the transmission mount. I'm going to use this metal, which it's like 3/8 of an inch thick. So it's pretty strong. Shouldn't bend. This is going to be, I'm going to weld this piece here, around here, and that'll be just to hold the transmission up. And then on that, I'm going to try and weld a piece underneath that comes out and then goes up this way so that it can bolt to these. So I think that'll work. The metal is really strong, because here's the piece I have to cut out next. I was just doing a little bit of measuring work, trying to see how far that needs to be. And it should be fairly easy, because all I have to do is cut that, and I just have to bend it just somewhere around this general area. I'll figure it out. And then I can weld it up and see if it actually will hold. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. It's a few days later, and I could have swore I recorded another part, but I guess I didn't. All it would have been is just saying that I got this curved piece all built, and it bolts in. I'm pretty sure I explained most of this. Just welded it there, and I have it on the bike, so this is what it's gonna look like. And I have it mounted in place. I'm just lining it up and getting ready to weld. So this should be fairly easy. I better make sure my welds are good, because there's not a crazy amount of material. to weld to. So I better make sure I don't mess up. Transmission shouldn't be under that much stress anyways, so it should probably be fine. Yeah. Don't really have anything else to say just besides for welding that up, and hopefully it all goes well, so I'll be back when that's all welded. It's a little while later, and I just finished welding. Should be fairly strong. I know you can't really see movement that well, but when I twist this, it twists the entire bike. So that's a good sign. I got some fairly good looking welds all the way around both sides. Some on the back there. Underneath ones are probably going to be holding the majority of it. Got some good ones on the front. And it should be able to hold, because I don't think there should be that much force on the transmission. Because, I mean, I guess it is kind of twisting. There's not that much power going through it. It's 5 horsepower, if even. So this should hold it in place, because the weight of the transmission alone essentially just held it in place there. The welds are just there to keep it from falling off. So that should be all good. And I mean, it's starting to come together. So now I can even just bolt in the transmission whenever I feel like, so that's really nice. So it's nice and easy to take out. And now, the next thing I get to start is I have to start making engine mounts. Because the engine's going to sit right around here, and it has to be offset slightly. So I think I'm just going to start looking at some measurements. Start putting the engine in with the transmission there as well, just to see where it's going to be able to sit, and hopefully that shouldn't take long and I can get started right away. So I'll be back when I start the mounts. I just wanted to give you a quick little peek at what I'm envisioning. This is roughly what it's going to look like. The engine sitting kind of where it should be. Could probably be a little closer. But like, that's how the belts are going to line up. Because there's a pulley there, and I can adjust this if needed. You can see how little room there is between all of these things. And yeah, just a rough idea on what it's going to look like. Because the engine I might move it slightly more inwards. It's hard to say though, because there's going to be a lot of junk hanging out here. So I'm not quite sure what I can do. But I'll figure it out. I just gotta figure out where the engine is gonna sit permanently, then I'll make mounts based off that. But yeah. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's a few days later, and today is the last day I have to work on this before the video comes out. And I'd like to try and finish it. I made the engine brackets, or at least what the engine's gonna mount to. And I was gonna try and use these bolts, but they are like an inch short. So I spent like an hour yesterday just trying to find 4 bolts that actually work. So now I have these. One of them's a little older than the rest. I found one. It was just like this one, except it was broken half and welded. And it was kind of lopsided, so. Found 4 that actually work. And now what I want to do is I need to get a bracket. I've cut out a bracket to connect these two together. Because I want a reinforcement here, just so if the engine shakes or something, it goes through both mounts. And I also want a bracket here, just to give me some extra surface area for welding. Because I want the bracket to connect here as well. So I'm gonna get on that and hopefully I can get it done. it's a little while later and the engine's on there. I didn't finish the welds. I have to do a lot of just like in-depth going around and trying to get it just welded fairly well, but I got 3 of 4 tack welds done. They're not that good. I still gotta do that one over there. But, I mean, they're holding the engine. If I move it, like it is part of the bike now. It wobbles the slightest amount, and I think that's just from the actual pipe, like the frame bending a little bit. But I'm still gonna weld up more, just because I want to make sure it's actually good. But I mean, this is the first look of it on the bike, because that's where it's gonna sit now. So now we actually have a full idea of as to what it's gonna look like. So that's pretty exciting. Because then, really, after I'm done the welding, all I have to do is connect these pulleys up together and then find a belt big enough to reach the back here. So essentially just belts and a clutch. And then once I have that done, I think the only other major thing is going to be intake and exhaust, because that's the exhaust. So I'm going to have figure out a way to get it from here to end of the bike somewhere. So that'll be for a different day though, because I'm going to use like the last 10 minutes I have before I have to go to work on welding this. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.